Well, welcome back, Philip. Well, I wish it was for different reasons, but yeah, this is gonna hurt. It's really, really gonna hurt. And I don't mean this fight that we're about to have. I mean the consequences of this. It is really going to hurt. No worries, Eric. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. They still have arcades, huh? I mean, I remember back in the day when I was a kid, that was the thing, but I didn't know they still, I mean, I knew they still had David Buster's, I guess. We used to have arcades that were in the shopping malls. And that sort of stuff that was just an arcade with games everywhere, nothing else. I spent more than my fair share of time in those as a kid growing up. Yeah, I know you guys do. I know you guys do like watching a good train wreck. So happy to oblige. Happy to oblige. No, I am going to fight this out. Whatever happens, happens, but I'm going to play this through to the bitter end. I think we have some advantages going into this fight, though, that are going to help us out. Oh, that'd be awesome, Eric. Yeah. We used to have one day a year that our school used to take us to an arcade. Kind of our end of the year reward thing. And it used to be a field trip where the school would rent out the entire arcade and we'd be able to go spend a few hours there. We'd have to pay for our own games, of course, but yeah, man, that was something I always looked forward to when I was a kid. I say I've been a gamer since I was a little kid. I will be a gamer until the day I die. Just means I can't play first-person shooter games as much as my Twitch skills go down as I get older. But yeah, my favorite game back in the day used to be Battlezone. It was a stand-up game that you kind of stood in front of and you put your head into this little headset thing and it was like you were driving a tank around. I think that's part of what led me to become a tanker in the military, was starting off a game like that when I was such a young kid. With me in FPS games, I have an extraordinarily high KD in any of the FPS games that I play. I just have an extraordinarily low amount of kills to go along with them. I am the guy that every streamer hates in FPS games. I'm the guy that will post up somewhere and just snipe the crap out of people until I end up getting killed. So, you know, get me 2, 3, 4 kills and then I have 1 death. So I end up with a 2.5 to 3 KD, but I'm never going to end up with those 20, 30 kill games and that sort of stuff, and everybody just hates me for it. I am that camping fool. I am Camp Bush. I was actually a squadron commander in an online forum club based around the old Star Wars games. X-Wing, TIE Fighter, X-Wing Alliance. Yeah, I programmed our own missions for the X-Wing and TIE Fighter games so that we could play custom campaigns where we would send out the mission to everybody. I'd create the mission, have a narrative that went along with it, and then send it out to everybody, and then you'd have a month to play it. And you compared high scores and kills and accuracy and all that sort of stuff to award medals at the end of the campaign. It was good stuff. I don't even know if it's still around, actually. That's probably a good point. Trying to remember the name of that group. Yeah, that's certainly what I did when I was squad designated a marksman, Philip. Hey, Lord Henry, welcome back. Boy, I'm trying really hard to remember the name of that gaming group I was in for Star Wars. It's right on the tip of my tongue, too. Oh boy, I found it. It was the Rebel Squadrons. They actually still have a website. Wow, this is taking me back, folks. This was way back. It still has my old profile and everything on it. That's crazy. I used to love those Star Wars games back in the day. Now, if you fail the fight, you just start the fight again. I'm not gonna restart or anything like that. I'm not in honor mode or anything where it's gonna be, you know, a permadeath or whatever. So we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to today's live stream, episode 22 of our Baldur's Gate 3 Paladin gameplay series. I'm Commander Jorval, and I want to thank you for coming along on our journey today. So not much in the way of admin notes. Did just want to say that starting off the new year here, wanted to say thank you for everyone who was here with me last year and looking to get the new year started off right. So thank you all for being here with me again at the start of a new year, and hopefully we continue on just as well this year. So hey Dave, and again, hey everybody, if I missed your name in the chat, I apologize, but again, thank you all for being here. I certainly appreciate it. So Larian has said they're still coming back from vacation and getting things ramped up. We'll expect to hear more from them here in the coming weeks, but nothing really going on in the Baldur's Gate universe for now. So now our recap. So last week was interesting. The Paladin playthrough has been snake bit is the best word for it, I guess, from the beginning, and a lot of things have gone ways that I didn't plan, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It has shown different ways to do things, and shown different outcomes of things that a lot of people don't normally see. And this is one that we ran into. We got into a horrible situation because of a failed saving throw on Shadowheart that put us in a situation where the last light in has fallen. The light has gone out, and as such, all of the Harpers that were in the last light in have now succumbed to the shadow, with the exception of Jaheira. Jaheira and ourselves are the only ones who are still alive. Everyone else in the last light in is dead. All of the Harpers are now shadow cursed, and we have to fight our way out of this. That sounds bad enough as in and of itself. However, that's not the end of it. Now that the light has fallen, reinforcements are on the way. And we're going to have to deal with them as well. This fight is going to get worse before it gets better. So we'll just play through this and see how it goes. We have some advantages here, but we'll kind of have to see how this plays out. So up there at the top, you can see we've rolled fairly well on initiative. We have 3 of our characters going first. And then we have 3 Harpers, and these 3 Harpers are one's out there on the bridge, quite a ways away. We have another one who is over here in the corner. And we have another one here, and I believe she's out on the bridge as well, before Shadowheart and Jaheira get to go. So 2 of the next 3 are quite a ways away, and they're definitely going to have to dash to get to us. The other one is over here and is surprised, so she's not going to be able to do anything. In fact, all of the grayed out pictures are all surprised, so they're not going to be able to do anything this turn. And that's important for us, because them being surprised gives us a bit of an advantage to start this off. The only one who's going to be able to do anything is Harper Lysandra, and I can't remember if she is inside or if she's out here. She's out here on the bridge as well, so she's not going to be able to get to us. So we have some time. Unfortunately, we have a lot of enemies to deal with, and they all have anywhere between 28 and 45 or so hit points for the most part. A couple of the casters have small amounts of hit points, but some of the fighters and barbarian types have more. So the other thing that we need to do here, now that we're in this situation, okay, the main focus here is Jaheira. The only way to salvage anything out of this is trying to save Jaheira. Now, Jaheira is not under our command at all. So she's going to do what she wants to do, and we have to try and protect her while she's doing whatever it's going to be that she's doing. Now, we can try and manage what she does a little bit by dealing with who's nearest to her. She will tend to go after the enemy that's closest to her. So we can try and manage that a little bit by dealing with the enemies that are around her. So we're going to start this off with Astarion. And now Astarion, remember, all of these enemies around us, with the exception, or right now, with everybody, because Lysandra's on the bridge, everybody who's around us is surprised right now. Now remember, because of how we built Astarion, we have advantage on all attack rolls against creatures that haven't taken a turn yet, which is right now anybody. Any successful attack roll against a surprised creature is a critical hit. Since all of these enemies are surprised, anything that Astarion hits, he is going to crit. Okay, and that is incredibly useful for us. So what we're going to try and do here is keep an enemy alive back here in the back. And we're going to try and keep an enemy that doesn't have a lot of hit points and is not a big melee focused character like Harper Tumeril here, as opposed to somebody like Harper Callie, who is obviously big melee base. She might be a barbarian type or something like that that can deal out a lot of damage. So we want to keep somebody back in the back that can maybe occupy Jaheira while we start moving out and clearing out the enemies as we go. Now, another big part of this is that right here we have 5 enemies here. We have 5 more enemies on the bridge this area here is a massive choke point, and we need to plug that up. If all of these enemies are allowed to approach us, this is going to quickly go south. We need to turn this area into a killing field and a way to slow the progress down so that we can deal with all of this mass of other enemies that are around us here. If we can plug up the dam, we might have a chance to deal with the flooding. But if we let the flooding continue, we're going to get overwhelmed back here. So a couple of priorities. So we need to make sure that we get rid of Harper Kenty. We need to be able to free up everybody here to be able to move freely wherever they want to throughout this area. So that's the first thing. And then once we've done that, we're going to probably try and focus on some of these over here. We definitely want to focus the ranged enemies as well, because they will sit in the back and just snipe at us and not move toward us, and things will become a lot harder to deal with them later. So let's, with Astarion, first try and take care of Harper here. We have turned off dual wielding because we can get crits with both our primary and offhand weapons here when we fight. So the first thing that we're going to, and remember, we also have Dread Ambusher available to us. So we're going to get some additional attacks here on our first round. And we're going to go after Harper Kenty first. Okay, we want to get rid of her, so we're going to sneak attack that. Now we're going to head back here. We're going to get an offhand attack on Harper Callie. That's going to crit. And then we're going to use Dread Ambusher to crit as well. And now we will continue moving over toward these two.
I speak, they burn.
Now for Gale, we have some options here on what we want to do, but at the end of the day, we want to try and start thinning out this herd here. And we're going to start that off by dropping a fireball right in the middle of all of them. Okay, so we killed 3 out of the 4 that we hit there. And we're going to take
Certainly
Gale and move him back here a little bit. And that's going to end his turn. Now remember, all the spell slots that you used up in the fight earlier do not come back. So that was the last fireball that Gale is going to be able to throw around out here. So he's also used up all of his level 2 spell slots, so he's down to level 1 spell slots, and that's it.
Well, so much for
So
peace.
now my Paladin. And we have a couple of choices here on how we want to approach this choke point here. So we can move forward. See, he's going to have to move up and drop a Hunger of Hadar around in here somewhere and choke this off. Okay. Now that's going to mean that the concentration check is going to have to be kept up by him. Okay, by our Paladin, which is fine. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But we're going to have to move forward toward that area to be able to get the hunger where we want it to begin with. So I think what we're going to do first, though, is try and deal with some of the stuff that we have going on over here. And we will let Shadowheart kind of move toward this area a little bit first. And then once their surprises are done, we will move our Paladin back toward that spot. Okay, so right now our Paladin can't get any attacks off here. So we're going to move over this way. We're going to drop Hex. Well, first, you can examine them and see that they're resistant to necrotic damage. So that means they're only going to take half damage from this. But at the end of the day, I don't really care. Any damage is better than no damage. So we're going to drop a Hex here. And we're going to move over to Harper Teebs.
Follows me everywhere.
Okay, we're going to one-shot him. Okay, and now we're going to drop a level 1 Divine Smite here. And take care of him. And now we're going to start with the rest of our movement, moving back towards the front gate. Okay, so Shadowheart's paralyzed is now worn off. And we are going to move Shadowheart as far toward the front lines here as we can get her. And let Astarion and Gale deal with stragglers here. We need to get Shadowheart and our Paladin up to the front here. Okay, now Shadowheart still has a lot of her spells left here. And she also has Guardian of Faith still available to her. So keep all of that in mind. We're going to just move up here as far as we can. And that's the other reason you want to bring her up here, is because they're now shadow cursed. And that means they are going to be, or as undead, they are going to have to save against the blind effect that is being applied by the blood of Lathander. Okay, so it's important to realize that she is going to be a major part in distracting the enemies and then absorbing their incoming damage by using her high armor class and the fact that they are going to be blinded to avoid taking a bunch of damage here. And as such, we are absolutely going to drop Spirit Guardians. Okay. To deal with anybody to cause additional damage as we move into this choke point here. Okay. Now, while we're also here, we're going to drop a spiritual weapon to help us out as well. And you're going to see why coming up in a little bit for that. So now Jaheira is going to act. Hopefully she goes after Tumoral here. Or if she goes after either of these two, I'm perfectly fine with that as well. I don't want her coming out this direction, though. Okay. Okay. Well, that's not horrible. Okay, so putting an AoE effect here that gives them difficult terrain is certainly not the worst thing in the world that she could have done. I would have preferred that she not move toward the front, but if she's going to move toward the front and do something, that is certainly not a bad thing for her to do. We just need to capitalize on it now, and Astarion needs to start racking up damage here. So we're going to take a potion of speed.
Don't linger.
Okay, and we will let Astarion sit there and hopefully deal with these two. Possibly this one here. And that's going to free Gale up to deal with something else here in a little bit.
Unleash me.
So for Gale... It's a long way to go, and I forgot he doesn't have his Misty Step anymore. Does he have a scroll? He does. I'm going to put Gale up here on the roof. So he's got the high ground bonus to hit with his cantrips, but also to kind of keep him out of the fray a little bit.
Sometimes the only way out is through.
Okay, so for me, I need to absolutely start moving my way, making my way toward the front here. And okay, so that's where I could get it. Okay, I think what I'm going to do... Nope. Okay. We're going to Misty Step up here. And now we're just going to plug this hole up for the next turn as we go. So there's, I'm not going to need the hunger for this, because now I've got a really good idea about how this is going to play out. So we're going to start dropping folks. And did I have the passive off? I do have it off. That was a mistake. I want to keep pushing them backward through this as we go. We're going to dash. What? Oh, she lost her concentration because of the stupid fire damage. You're kidding me. Okay, that's fine. We have another one, luckily. Okay, and now we're going to drop a mass healing word here. Okay, that's good. We want to see her... What was that all about? Yes, Damon has turned. Like I said, reinforcements are on the way. The shadow is no longer protecting, or the light is no longer protecting Last Light Inn. And that means that the shadow curse is free to exert its will on this area. So we are going to see a bunch of reinforcements show up as we go through this. Okay. So Megan here, and that's in the form of these shadow creepers. So they are again resistant to necrotic damage, completely immune to psychic damage and poison damage. They just don't have a lot of hit points or a high armor class, but they can certainly hit you. And those aren't all the reinforcements that we're going to end up seeing. So here I'm going to drop my hunter's mark for additional damage. Okay, drop one more of those. Now I'm going to move over here.
Time to move.
And get prepped for dealing with some of this stuff out here.
May the dice roll in my favor.
So now with Gale here. Sorry, Damon. But you're going to have to go.
Nothing will stand in my way.
And now for me, it's time to just start clearing house here as much as we possibly can. So we're going to have advantage on all of these attacks that are against blinded targets. They all blinded. He's not blinded. These two are. Okay. Now we're going to move out here and, like I say, start to plug up this hole here.
Breathe deep and move.
Okay. I think we're probably going to be okay against the Harpers that are up here. So we're going to bring Shadowheart back here to start helping deal with these shadow creepers. And we're going to do that just by moving through here.
Got to move.
Okay. So we managed to do some damage here, but let's see if we can finish off the rest of these. He's going to be going next. Hopefully this should end him. And we're actually going to move... No, we're not. We're going to leave this here. She succeeded on her saving throw. Shield blow's not going to do anything because they can't fall prone. Okay, so you can see that they can burrow. An unexpected type of movement scenario. And they can also burrow into strange places. Like, they can burrow up onto the roof. So Gale is not 100% safe up there. Just something to keep in mind.
Let's finish this.
But speaking of Gale, we're going to skip our turn with the Starian. Can we get one in there? We can. Okay, that didn't kill any, because I don't have any additional damage with him. I was like, that didn't kill anybody? Yeah, it's because I don't have any additional damage. It's just straight from the magic missile with him. I was counting on additional damage and just don't have it. So should have done that a little bit differently. Going to deal one attack there, then we're going to use our offhand to attack there. Now we're going to move Astarion back a little bit. See if he can get another attack here. He can. Oh, that was almost a kill there.
I won't give in.
And now me, again, let's focus on just knocking out as many people as we possibly can. We are out of Divine Smites. However, we do have Inquisitor's Might that we might as well use a bonus action to throw on here. Okay, and it's still enough to take out 11 hit point enemies, probably not 22. Well, I stand corrected. And now we're going to move out of this
With haste.
electrified surface to get over here. Now, what did the electrocuted... Okay, so it's going to give us lightning damage on the next turn. Not too worried about that. Okay, that's good that it moved her out there. I would prefer, actually, Shadowheart to be over here.
On I go.
And I will leave the spiritual weapon right there. Okay, Gale's just going to end his turn.
Feet.
Okay, and now you can see we have more reinforcements, and we have the Big Daddy Giant Shadow Creepers here. Now, these things hit pretty hard, and they are also really, really good at disrupting your concentration because of how hard they hit. So, we're going to have to deal with these as best we can and hope that Shadowheart can keep up her Spirit Guardians for as long as she possibly can while we go through this.
Wonder if the gods are watching me.
Okay, so I'm going to move kind of right here around this corner as much as I can. I don't know what's going to incur attacks of opportunity here. Okay, so I'll move here. Uncover our secret weapon here. Okay, we got a big damage roll there because of that. I wasn't expecting to kill that one, but like I say, we got a big damage roll out of it. That was 43. Yeah, out of 48 possible damage, we rolled 43. So that was a really, really good roll for us. Okay, now the spiritual weapon, I would actually prefer to be over here, but since it can't make it, I don't think. Yeah, it can't. Okay. So you see it did its special attack there. It used Cursed Thorns. So, and then it went and did Merciless Crush, which is 4d6. So they can hit really, really hard, and that's kind of why I moved Astarion back here, is to kind of get him as much out of the range of some of those close-in melee attacks as I possibly can. Now, looking at the traits here, they're still resistant to necrotic damage. Thankfully, Hunter's Mark is piercing damage. And let's hold off on that. I don't think I can get there.
Another fight. Let's go.
I don't know if I can or not. So from here, it's 6.1. 13, that'd be 7. Oof, this is going to be really close as to whether or not I can get there or not. Maximize this as much as we can. Can I get it? I can.
Cutting to the chase.
And now it's threatened.
There's blood in the air.
So he's not going to need it, but he's got sneak attack available on this. Okay, and then I can move him out. And does he have enough range? He does not. Oh, he doesn't have anything left anyway.
Swords meet sorcery.
I don't think Gale can hit that. Oh, we can hit it.
It's all over. They're all gone. My brave ones, my friends, my Harpers. I led them here. To this. But you live. A single green leaf holding fast on a tree ravaged by winter. Yes. I adorn the crown of the Oak Father still. And as long as I do, there's an ever so slim chance I could make it back to Baldur's Gate. If I can warn the Dukes an army of absolutists is on the march, perhaps the city still stands a fighting chance. That proud determination of yours should shame me. But it heartens me instead. Pull aside the curtain of years and I can see myself echoing your resolve. Very well. I'll join you. And when Ketheric falls, I'll be there. For us, for them, and for the ones we love back home.
Okay. So that was the best that we could hope for out of that, is the ability to recruit Jaheira at a point in the future. Now, that point is not right now, and a decision that we make later on might play into that as well. But we will see. We will see how it plays out. So let's take stock of everything that has happened. First, Damon is dead. In Act 3, Damon has some of the best endgame items available to you for sale. There's just no way around it. And I have no access to any of those now. That is a huge hit for us.
One day I'll catch a break.
Inside the last light, Alfira is dead.
Let's have a look.
Once you complete the Rescue the Tieflings from Moonrise quest, she will award you with the Potent Robe, which is one of the best endgame warlock slash sorcerer slash spellcaster robes that you can get. And we have no access to that anymore. Completely gone. So Roland is dead. That means that the interactions in Act 3 with him, the Mage's Tower, and Larian are going to be entirely different. And we are not going to have the opportunity to deal with Roland instead of Larian. Barkus Root, dead. So the beneficial retort, or whatever it is that he was working on for us, don't have access to it anymore. We had already traded with him and picked up his gloves, thankfully, but we no longer have access to anything else associated with any of his future quest lines. Okay, because this is not the last time that you see him. All of the fists are dead, and Cullagh is dead. That means that the entire quest line with him, Thaniel, and Halsin now cannot be completed. And that means that Halsin cannot become a full companion of your party. The other stuff that's here, Mattis, is... I think Mattis is dead. Isn't his body somewhere back here? Mattis might not be. He might have run away when Maul did, and he's not here. Then again, his body may be out here somewhere as well. So being able to buy stuff from Mattis, that's not there anymore. being able to buy any more stuff from Quartermaster Tally, not there anymore. So the whole progression of the character through not just this act, but Act 3 is severely hampered now. Severely hampered. So this can get pretty handicapping when it comes to moving through the rest of the game. Now, obviously, characters aren't just the gear that they're wearing. However, a lot of this gear made things a whole lot easier. And it's just gone. So things are going to become a lot more difficult now for us. And we're going to have to manage that as we go forward. So the first thing that we probably need to do here, though, is go through and pick up everything that we possibly can here in the Last Light. The other thing to remember is that while we do have the Blessing of Selûne, so we can move through the Shadow Curse without taking damage, we do not have the Moon Lantern to get into the high Shadow Cursed areas. And the only place that we're going to be able to get that now is from inside Moonrise Towers. So we're going to have to prioritize making our way to Moonrise. One, to take advantage of the vendors that are there, but two, to be able to get us access to the rest of the Shadowlands out here. That's our only way to do it now. So let's go ahead and start inside the Last Light Inn. We'll start up on the top floor. And we will just start looting everything that we can. Everything that we have available to us, we want to start looting it. We're going to take everything under the sun because we're going to have to, like I say, get to Moonrise. And we're going to want to sell off a bunch of stuff to get our sorry, and I'm just managing inventory here. Okay. To get our rapport, our attitude with them up so that we can buy a bunch of stuff from them, because all of that stuff that we spent time getting the rapport up on Damon and Quartermaster Tally, that's all for naught. Okay. So we do have the Mind Flayer Parasite Specimen, which ups us to 7. Couple of items here, and then we also have the Shifting Corpus Ring. Allows you, and I believe these are once per long rest, right? Yes. To cast Invisibility or Blur. So Blur can be quite nice. It is a concentration spell, but giving your enemies disadvantage on attack rolls against you is always really good. Invisibility, not so much in this game, but it is more of a spellcaster kind of get out of the way type of ring. So that tends to be where I normally put it. So again, we're going to search everything and pick up everything that we can.
Got to press on.
And we'll sort out all of this stuff later on. There are Selûnite robes in here. They look really cool. That's what Isabeau was wearing. So they do look really cool, but they're not great as armor goes. Okay, Isabel's diary is here. Okay, so ever since I returned, there's been a filth in me. That's a very interesting line and way to put that, and you're going to learn more about that later. Okay, His Majesty is dead, so don't need to deal with the milk bowl. Okay, there are mugs of beer scattered and wine scattered around the place, so you can't pick up a bunch of camp supplies in here. And I might actually miss some. Yes, I did.
Well.
The canteens you don't need to pick up, they don't have anything. Okay, so here we have the bloody amulet. And this is Barkus's diary. Okay, and we're going to start. So the corpses are all too damaged over here because of the shadow curse. So we'll go into the infirmary here in a minute. Okay, on top of this stack of books, you have the recipe for the greater healing potion. So don't forget about it. We'll just systematically make our way back and around here, looting everything that we can as we go. Okay, don't need you standing right on top of it. Another mug of beer here on the table.
What's that?
Okay, we have some loose planks here that we can search, and this has the snowburst ring. So when the wearer deals cold damage, they create a 4.5 meter circle of ice around the target. Okay, so just, again, something odd about this village. They were trying to speak with Ketheric Thorm. But then this is going to go over to Gale. And now whenever he uses his Morning Frost cantrip, he's going to create a 4.5 meter circle of ice around the target. So he's going to be kind of using it also as an AoE difficult terrain spell just with his cantrip, just with his
Well, hello.
just with his Ray of Frost cantrip.
Whatever comes, I'm ready.
Okay, there's some wine here on the table. Now we'll deal with this back area here. Okay, so this is a little bit about the relationship between Roland and Larian, which we were going to learn a lot more about it. But he was traveling to Baldur's Gate to become an apprentice to Larian. And his is 2 damage there as well. So we're going to look at the table here.
Better fetch that. Let's see what we have here.
And we will take all of these camp supplies and put them all away at the same time. It's just easier just to pick them all up.
What a day. Simple.
No one back home will ever believe this.
Okay, so here you have the innkeeper's journal. Just talk about again some of the stuff that's happened on the West Bank, where the Masons Guild has been raided and that sort of stuff. So
There is work to do.
then we have more
Last
wine and stuff like that here.
No time to waste.
Okay. Now we'll move in here. Now here I believe we have an opportunity to speak with the dead in here.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
Darkness. Pain. Daniel. Have to help. Daniel. Shadowfell. Shifts. And changes. But where Daniel is, always smells of lavender. Cullagh of investigating Catherick Thorn, rumors of Sharon Gull, worse than we thought. He is brutal, cares for nothing except his daughter.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
Okay. This, like I said earlier, with Cullagh being dead, it no longer allows you to recruit Halsin. Now, this is the only way that you can continue that questline, is by casting Speak with the Dead on Cullagh. That's the only way to do it. So, if you miss this step, you are going to completely miss out on the ability to recruit Halsin. And this is another one of those things that I disagree with in the setup of the game, is I think that the outcomes to this were done a little bit poorly. They made an obvious effort to bring... There's no reason that Jaheira is any different from any of the other Harpers, but yet Jaheira was not affected by this. So they gave you an opportunity to be able to recruit Jaheira, even if this went entirely wrong. They give you an opportunity that is hidden behind a check that most people at this point are probably not going to do. They just are not going to be thinking about casting Speak with the Dead on a random body in the back on a bed, especially when you've gone around and all the other corpses that look like him are too damaged to cast Speak with the Dead on. I don't like this decision from the devs to gate it behind that. Okay? I think it should have been made much more obvious, either that you had to do that, or he should have remained alive, because again, just like Jaheira's been around for over a century. So is he. Something has obviously kept him alive that long, so I think it would have been a much better narrative decision to keep him alive, but yet still inside of his coma, so to speak, and keep the quest alive that way, instead of hiding it behind Speak with the Dead. I do not like that choice that was made by the devs, but it is what it is. So if you want to recruit Halsin, cast Speak with the Dead on Art to be able to continue it. Otherwise, it's dead-ended right there. And like I say, my chat has been, very, very on point about that. And it's good that people know that, but it's also patently obvious that not everybody does. And I wanted to demonstrate it that way, but like I say, I don't necessarily agree with the narrative choice there on how they did it. Okay, so we will loot everything that we can in here until we run out of carry capacity. Okay, so that's her. Okay, so now Gale.
In for a surprise?
Yeah, Philip, and that's the problem that I have with it, is that people tend to forget it quite often. And I just don't agree that something that important missing out on being able to recruit a party member like that should be gated behind something like that. I really don't. Even when, especially when they've taken a lot of pains to disguise the fact that Speak with the Dead might even work on him, when it doesn't work on almost anybody else in the entire place. And there's one more thing that we're going to deal with, and I was trying to cast this earlier so that we could walk around and you can see what we can and cannot cast Speak with the Dead on by having the green outline around it. Okay, there's a letter here from Chancellor Floric. Just like, again, they're learning that Moonrise Towers is the base of where the Absolute is and where the Grand Duke is. So let's go in here and send off all of the camp supplies that we've been picking up. That's going to free up quite a bit of carry weight. Okay, let's see if we can put some stuff back on Shadowheart. Okay, there's just a guest log over here we can pick up. Okay, and we've got some things sitting here on the table from when Mattis was here. Okay. Now again, moving back through. Actually, did we search His Majesty? We did. And we searched Marcus. Okay, and now that you've cast with the Dead and it's active, again, now you get the green glowing outline around NPCs that you're able to cast it on. So I was just illustrating the fact that I was going to place more emphasis on cast with the Dead down with Art Cullagh. But yes, you were absolutely correct, Lord Henry. If you talk to Marcus here, you're going to have another revelation.
I'm ready. Whatever it takes. I'll go this way.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
Outside the inn, buried near graveyard, she found out. The General Absolute's chosen. Ketheric Thorn trusted me. Cross cursed lands carry the light.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
Okay,
Never a dull moment.
so now we can head back downstairs.
Breathe deep and move.
No time to dally.
Seek and you shall find me. Yes, why not? Forthwith.
Okay, so we talked about the Mighty Cloth. Again, really good for your barbarian types. We don't really have any of those. The Amulet of the Harpers is really good for anybody to be able to cast that, to cast shield once per... boy, that's a good question. I can't remember if it's short rest or long rest. Once per long rest to be able to cast shield. What am I wearing now? That Brand the Weak. I'm going to keep Brand the Weak instead. But no, I think that's good. That's probably going to get held off on. I probably won't be doing much with that this time. And then out here you have all sorts of stuff that you can search.
Interesting.
Okay, Gale's encumbered now.
Someone there? What's this?
Okay, so we're probably getting just about to the point that we're going to be full.
What's in here?
So yes, we are. So Wistarian picked up that last one. Okay, so now we are full. So we are desperately short
Meats and
on
blades, always sharp.
all sorts of
Yeah,
action
right
economy
with
here.
magic.
Okay, we
No
are
one's stopped me
seriously depleted in all of that. We're going to run into some issues here, though, with a long rest. There's still a lot of stuff to pick up here. And if we take a long rest, you run the risk that you're not going to be able to loot any of it when you come back because the bodies will be gone. Okay? So you have some choices to make here on how you want to proceed with this. And I would prefer to keep a lot of this stuff and be able to sell it down or give it away in Moonrise Towers. However, that's a long way to get down there. And we have some combat that needs to happen while we are on our way down there. We also, I guess, have another opportunity. That's actually a good point. We might not have any combat necessary to get us down there. That's a good point. Okay, I wasn't planning on that, but let's see if we can make this work. Instead of taking a long rest, let's see if we can make this work. Now we do have, again, Selûne's blessing, so we can move around out here without fear of the shadow curse. Okay, there are still certain areas that we are not going to be able to go to because we do not have the moon lantern. But we can walk around out here without having to carry torches now. That was a boon that we got from Isabel. Okay, so we're going to run into an area here that has dead tieflings in it. And I'm going to have to watch out for this. I think I probably want to go back and approach the other way.
Is that blood? No, never mind.
Sorry, I didn't plan this. This just came into my head. And I'm anxious to see if we can get to Moonrise and back without taking a long rest. And I definitely want to go this way if I can.
The very plates of the earth have been shattered by the magic of the shadow curse. Utterly fascinating. Unless you happen to be Stan.
On my way.
Okay, so let's see how this plays out. Now that we did not do the ambush. Normally, if you approach the Last Light Inn the way that we did, you have a bunch of encounters, you do everything inside the Last Light Inn, and the first time you try and walk out the front door across the bridge, that group of 5 Harpers that was sitting on the bridge that were shadow cursed, they are waiting for you. And they tell you that they're going out to set up an ambush against a convoy on the road that is heading to Moonrise Towers, and that leads you into a conflict here with the Drider Caravan.
Right on my feet.
Here, and I'm anxious to kind of see oh, it's actually, yeah, it is. This is it. This is the house right here. So I don't want to head down that way.
More to your church every day, my queen. Your followers are legion. Your faithful stand ready, Majesty. Soon we march. Soon the world will bow to you.
We're boss. Something moved up there. Want me to drag it out?
What's this?
The Drider's eyes cut through the darkness, locking on you as your parasite squirms with excitement. Your minds connect, and you hear a voice whispering to you. The Absolute, or just the echoes of his fractured mind reverberating in the darkness.
One of your true souls, my queen. How have they survived? You swore an oath to my queen. But if so, where is their lantern?
Okay, so we have a deception choice here that we can make.
Majesty, is this true? Did I not serve you well? Very well. If it is your will, you can have it! They don't know. Our queen told them nothing.
The lamp's light keeps the shadows at bay. Stops them from getting close enough to grab us.
Silence! The Absolutes favored are speaking. She has blessed the lantern's light. It is the Absolute who protects us from the shadows. Simply shadows. Cursed, hungry shadows trying to grab the living. And they are getting stronger. But do not worry. There is still power in the lantern. Our queen will protect you, as she protected me.
It's time to go, Lantern Bearer. The sooner we clear the dark, the better.
What do you mean, go?
We can't go without you. The shadows will tear us to pieces.
This is not Her Majesty's will.
Okay, so we have another deception choice here, but it's even lower now because Favorable Beginnings is gone. We do have a much better choice here with Intimidation.
If it is Her Majesty's will.
You can't be serious. You know what's out there.
If it is Her Majesty's will, then we shall walk! She will protect us. She must.
As the sounds fade, there is nothing left but cold, still silence.
Okay. So, interesting there. I wasn't expecting that it would play out that way. But now we should have... It was on the ground. Ah, there it is, down here.
Might be useful.
Lantern gives off a chilly glow, protecting all in its vicinity from the surrounding shadows. You notice a
And
tiny
I shouldn't have picked that up.
pixie trapped within. These fey creatures are infamous for their trickery. Sometimes playful, sometimes malicious.
Oh, please! Oh, golly me, oh my! You must release me or I'll die. This lantern only lights the way when I am hurting night and day. My name is Dolly Thrice. Now won't you free me from this vice? It would be my pleasure, truly. Once I'm freed, I'll help you duly. I dare not name it, newfound friend. The faintest touch could spell my end.
Finally! Been trapped in that coffin with no one but a mad Drider and my own farts for company.
Did me a good turn there, didn't you? What do I owe you? Sure I can, but will I?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Here, give this bell a shake. Speak the magic words and you'll get what you've earned. Protection from the shadow curse. What more could a dingus want? You're welcome.
Okay, so
Curious little thing.
now
We do get to see some interesting things. Almost makes the mortal peril worth it.
So now, in addition to the Blessing of Selûne, which lets us go through the lesser effects of the Shadow Curse, we have the Pixie's Blessing. So the Shadow Curse can't affect us at all anymore. So now we are free to walk wherever we want inside the Shadow Curse and not be affected by it. Now, I'm going to try and make it
These boots have seen everything.
down to Moonrise. Now that we have this, I think I'm going to have at least one more combat encounter that I'm going to have to deal with. We'll see, though. Because right next to Moonrise, there's another waypoint. And if I can get down there and activate that waypoint, then we can travel back and forth between the Last Light Inn and Moonrise Towers without any problems. And we can go back and pick up all the rest of that stuff and give it away to the traders down here. But I'm almost positive that I'm going to run into at least one more combat encounter. I don't know as if this one's going to be that difficult, though.
Cloak and dagger. My
Shadowheart still has first levels left.
Keeping my head down.
I think I'm going to be okay with it. We're going to come back and go through all these areas again. I'm interested just in getting down there.
Never wanted the easy path.
Because there's a lot of stuff laying around out here and a lot of things to do inside this area.
Cloak and dagger. My favorite.
Gotta make my next move. What's that?
Okay.
Out of sight. Out of
So let me check one more thing. What would I do for the build on Astarian? Okay. We're going to go down here with my Paladin.
Taste.
and see what happens here. Okay. Nothing. Okay. That makes this easier.
Don't want to draw any attention. Breathe deep and move.
Okay, to get through these barriers, you need to have either a moon lantern or the pixie blessing to get through it. And now I need to try and remember where I'm going to run into combat situations. Because I know what's here, I need to get up this way. So we'll just take it slow and see what we have in between us and there. Okay, all of this area back here.
So much time.
We're going to come and deal with this. It's a very, very interesting encounter. It's one of the few encounters that has some sort of combat mechanic that you have to do.
I can feel it. The Absolute. Its power is strong here.
Playtime's over. So, perk up your ears. You and the pup have a new mission. Absolute's cult has gone and grabbed one of Zariel's assets. A devil. And a powerful one at that. They're locked up in the cult's fortress, Moonrise Towers. And you're getting him out. Questions! You're wasting my time! Let's see about getting your priorities fixed. Clause Z, Section 13. Should promised soul refuse obeyance or neglect duty, the pact holder shall cast the promised into Avernus as a lemure. I'll make it simple. Will fails or refuses, and he turns to a thick blob of stink flesh and sinks to Avernus. You either mount a quick rescue, or you condemn Will to an eternity sizzling in the hells. Sounds like an easy choice to me.
Mizora's words may be flippant, but they are tinged with desperation. She cannot afford for Will to fail this mission. This may be your best chance to negotiate Will out of his pact.
Okay, so we passed our perception check again.
Interesting. Now, why should I go letting my favorite pet off his leash?
Okay, so again with intimidation is obviously our best choice here. 14, we have a 7 bonus plus guidance.
Incredible. You actually think you hold the winning hand? Fine. I'll play your game. But I amend the pact once the mission's done, not before. Clause F, Section 9. Soulbinder shall bestow reward or favor only upon soulbearer's fulfillment of related obligation.
You've heard of this provision, better known as the You First clause.
Now, get to Moonrise. And do mind the shadows. They've been especially hungry.
So since we did not take a long rest after visiting the Last Light Inn, Mizora came to us, basically.
What's that?
Okay, so not that much farther to go now. Okay, so we do have a detection cone up here. Okay, so we have some Shadow Cursed out here around the front. And guess who those Shadow Cursed are? Remember the Drider and the orcs that we had walk away? Guess who's out here at the front? They have been taken by the Shadow Curse. So we want to try and move our way around them. Now we have the waypoint discovered for Moonrise Towers, so now we are good to go.
At the ready.
That's far enough.
His thoughts invade your own, probing for purchase. Your parasite purrs in recognition.
Ah, one blessed like myself. What news, true soul? Impressive.
You'll find Z'rell in the audience chamber, true soul. She'll be wanting to hear from you.
If it's an audience she desires, an audience let us provide.
Praise the Absolute.
Okay, so we are now accepted here at Moonrise Towers. They want us to go speak with Z'rell. We have time. We don't. That's not a timed event.
No doubt. This is the place. This is where we'll discover the
So we're going to head over here to the right and start talking to some of these vendors here.
We are each of us.
If you have coin, then show it.
Now we're going to have some options here with this particular vendor.
I do not peddle. I put weapons in worthy hands. The Absolute needs warriors for her crusade. But I see only weaklings in this place. Prove it. Who's singing your name?
Okay, so now we have some options here. Persuasion. We also have an Oath of Vengeance Intimidation. So we get advantage on this check versus an additional +3 from Persuasion proficiency on this. So I'm going to go with the Oath of Vengeance here. Okay, it's a 16 DC.
Normally talk like that's empty. But there's something behind those words of yours. I can feel it. Want anything from my stash? You pay less than the rest.
Okay, and what that does is automatically sets his attitude to 100. So now we don't have to worry about selling or giving him items to up his attitude to get lower prices. He's already at 100. Now, just like everything else, all the attitudes are character specific. So if I trade with anybody but my Paladin, his attitude's going to be back here at, whatever at 0. But whenever I come in and start that conversation with my Paladin, I now have the option to get everything for the much bigger discount because his attitude is all the way up. So we're going to come back to this. We're not going to deal with these items for now.
Well, true soul.
We do have another trader over here that's not going to work with. And what do you know? It's Roa Moonglow.
Ah,
A new face come to bask in the light of the Absolute. How can I be of service, true soul? Of course. Just before some godless lunatic purged the place of every innocent soul. A pity neither of us saw what happened. The guilty here hears blame in every breath. But you're among friends here, true soul. Look around. All manner of beasties united against the enemies of the Absolute. Quite a god to bring them all together. And quite a fool who draw their ire. More concerned that your business might be bad for my business. So don't go kicking the hive while there's still some honey to be had.
Okay, so now we have a trader here where there's a bunch of stuff that we might want to pick up here from her that is going to be pretty expensive. The armor of devotion, if you want it, is 5,760 gold. So, yeah, things aren't necessarily cheap. So, here is, and you're going to meet Roa again, actually, in Act 3. So now is a good time to go through that bartering process again. And drop down whatever you can and give them to her so that you can lower these prices. Okay, I actually don't need the infernal iron anymore, I don't think. And we're going to be a little careful when it comes to selling some of this clothing, because we've been getting better clothing than the ragged stuff that we used to be getting, so some of it we might want to keep, just for aesthetic purposes. Okay, but we'll just go through and clear out all of this stuff. And I know some of this stuff would just end up throwing in our camp. Okay. So all the way down through at least here. The comfortable blue-red outfit we're going to keep for now. As well as the teal slim and the snugglesome green shirt. We'll keep the Tanner's Delight as well. Okay, so 72%. Okay, so I think that clears out all of the miscellaneous stuff.
An honor, true soul.
So now we're going to head right back to the Last Light Inn and loot the rest of the stuff. Since we haven't taken a long rest, all of the bodies are still here. Okay, and you can continue looting them and taking it back and selling and giving this stuff to Roa. Okay, that was quick. Let's drop this infernal iron off. The Vision of the Absolute we don't need anymore. We're only keeping it because the Vision of the Absolute works really, really good against the Drider. The Drider has multiple sets of eyes, so you deal an additional 2d6 damage with the Vision of the Absolute, and we were going to use that during the ambush, but we didn't need to. We'll hold off on that combat until after we've taken a long rest and we're clearing out the west side of the bridge. So, looks like we only have to move over one thing, maybe? Yes.
There's no time to waste.
Okay, so yeah, talking about the caravan that was going through that we just saw. Yep, same thing, taking the patrol out to go set up an ambush. Oh, we've got a brown cloak here. Interesting. Just for aesthetics, we might put that on somebody. Okay, so we're just about finished clearing out the Harpers here. Okay. Nope, still encumbered. Okay.
Which way to the nearest library?
And hopefully with Will we can finish this off. Okay, so the wood bark is crafting supplies.
Elminster's not around, so might as well.
Yeah, I certainly can, Lord Henry. I don't think we're going to get to that point here, though. I think we're going to be able to pick up the rest of this.
No time to rest.
Without it. But yeah, if we do, I'm not going to make, like you say, I'm not going to make more than one run to get back here.
Salutations.
So we'll certainly equip it. Okay, so we're picking up chainmail +2 and ringmail armor +2. This is actually going to weigh us down a lot. Not that bad. Okay, that's good. Now we're Starian.
Tread carefully. Yes, please.
Okay, so it looks like we are going to be at that point. I had forgotten about all of those heavy armors that that Damon would be carrying.
Let me work my magic.
Let's move.
We'll unburden Astarian here in a second.
What's in here?
Okay, so the other thing that happened, I didn't even think about this. Well, the strange ox is gone.
Curiosity must be satisfied.
Don't know if he'll show up in Act 3 now or not. So yeah, we'll see if that happens. That might be another
With ease.
downside to that. Okay, so that pretty much clears out the main areas here of Last Light. We've got some other areas that we're going to come back and explore here. But that pretty much finishes off the main areas here. So let's go back and we will see what we have available to us.
Shouldn't have wished to live in more interesting times.
As far as these vendors go. Now remember, we don't have nearly as much gold on our Paladin playthrough. So our choices are probably going to be a little more, or not probably, they are going to be more limited.
I never learned the words.
Yes, you did.
Something's on my mind.
She gives them to you fully formed. Can you hear her?
Ever at your service.
Okay, and the other thing you want to think about when you're doing this is try and get rid of your lower priced items first, even if you have to give more of them to get that, because the higher priced items you're going to be able to sell for more later on. So always start with your lower versions first, clubs and weapons, as opposed to the armors, which are going to sell for a lot more, especially the heavy armors that we picked up. Okay, so we're at 94. 96. 98. 99. And now we're at 100. Okay. Or give gold that raises the value. Yes, that's true. If you can just barter off, or just give off gold to an exact amount. It's a little more exact than giving you an item where you may go over and or under on that. But once you're done, then you can start selling off these, because it's a percentage based thing. So getting 10% more gold on something that has a 50 gold value gets you 5 additional gold, versus 10% on something that has a 1 gold, which doesn't even get you 2 gold out of it. So that's why you try and sell off the smaller things first, and then save the higher value items for when you're done, just from a mathematical standpoint. So we're gonna sell off the rest of this stuff here. Not that. And then we'll come back and start looking at what these are all worth. So the longsword +1 we can get rid of. Quarterstaff. Okay, the chain 2. She's not going to be able to give us much more, so we're going to have to start going through. This is why you leave the barter window open when you're doing this, because we're going to buy stuff from her, and that will help offset that deficit, because we've got 2,000 gold worth of items. She only has 651 gold up here, so now we can start dragging over items that we're going to want to help offset that. Arrow of Aberration Slaying, very, very useful. All of the healing potions, like we always take, and then we can start looking at our items. So the Blooded Great Axe, we've seen something very similar to this in Act 1. It's another one of those when you have 50% of your hit points or less, you deal additional slashing damage. Again, not very useful. The Bow of Awareness gains you a +1 bonus to initiative rolls, and it's a +1 short bow. Can be useful just as anybody else who doesn't really care about their ranged weapon, like your spellcasters. This would give them a +1 bonus to initiative rolls. So the Drakethroat Glaive is a race-specific weapon, or... Yes, no, a race-specific weapon, in that enemies have disadvantage on saving throws against your Dragonborn breath weapon. So if you are a Dragonborn race, your breath weapon is now going to have, or they're going to have disadvantage on saving throws against it. So they're more likely to take full damage from your breath weapon than otherwise. This is a +2 weapon as well. And it's got the Draconic Elemental Weapon spell with it that's once per long rest. So you can imbue a weapon with elemental power. It sees a +1 to its attack roll and deal an additional 1d4 damage of your choice. So you can take the Drakethroat Glaive and use it to imbue your weapon with fire damage, cold damage, acid damage, whatever that may be. And it also receives a +1 bonus to its attack rolls. So it's a really interesting weapon to have just from that perspective. The Gold Wormling Staff, I've never found it to be very useful. It allows you to cast the Firebolt cantrip if you don't already have it. It's a +1 quarterstaff. So I guess if you don't have the access to that cantrip and you're looking for a way just to cast fire damage, then the Gold Wormling Staff would be useful for you. The Hunter's Dagger is Rupturing. So Rupturing we've seen before. On a hit, they must succeed a DC 13 Constitution saving throw, become Ruptured. And Ruptured, they take 1d4 damage every time, or when they move. And you can stack Ruptured on top of it, and you get it when you apply it. You get like 3 stacks of it, and then every time that you do it, it reduces that condition duration by 1 every time that they take damage. So can be interesting, but not something that I ever focus on in my playthroughs. So Monster Slayer it deals 1d4 damage against monstrosity type foes, gives you additional jumping distance, and it's a +1 weapon. So situationally useful, again, against monstrosity enemies. But with all the other things that we have, carrying around an additional weapon just for those type of encounters is probably not that great at this point. And then you have the Neremisser. The Neremisser is a hand crossbow that deals force damage. It also allows you to cast Magic Missile, and it's a +1 weapon. So this is for someone who already has hand crossbows or who's already using them. This can be a good weapon to go along with that until you get one later on that that pairs better with something else that you have. Okay, so we're going to add that to the list. You can see they're getting closer to equaling what we need. The Armor of Devotion gives you the Eternal Devotion class action. So basically you recite your oath once per long rest and you regain 1 channel oath charge. 1 channel oath charge once per long rest is what you get out of this armor. It's 18, it's not even 19, so it's not a plus whatever heavy armor. It is a regular heavy armor. It's a lot of gold to pay to be able to, once per long rest, get your channel oath charge back. Now, I'm not going to lie, it looks cool. When you put it on, it looks amazing. But it's not something that I normally spend that much gold on just to be able to get a channel oath charge back. It's is just not worth it, in my opinion. Other people may disagree. So for the rest of this, looks like normal +2 armors and that sort of stuff. We do have another scale mail +2 down here. And then you have the sharpened snare cuirass. So this is medium armor. It is based off of padded armor, so it's got a 14 armor class. However, it has exotic materials. So you can add your full dexterity modifier to your armor class. So you are not limited to a +2 modifier on your dexterity. It also has sharpened snare, so creatures have disadvantage on resisting your saving throws, or on saving throws when resisting your attacks that inflict restraint. So ensnaring strike and things like that, they now have disadvantage on those saving throws. So they're more likely to get stuck in place with your ensnaring strike attack. And that can be useful for certain builds in certain situations. We don't necessarily need that right now. Astarion, I believe, I'm going to look at it, but I think he's wearing the Yuan Ti right now. And so in that case, he's getting his full dexterity to armor class anyway. Yeah, he's got a 19 right now, so I'm assuming that's what's happening. So he doesn't need this. That would be taking a 1 armor class hit to gain advantage or disadvantage on saving throws where he uses ensnaring strike. He doesn't use it that much anyway, so in my opinion, not really worth it. So the 2 rings here, the Poisoner's Ring, I always pick up. It's got Virulent Venom, which makes a target vulnerable to poison damage unless it's immune, and it lasts for 10 turns. There's going to become something with Shadowheart, where that's going to become more useful. The Ring of Spiteful Thunder is another one of those reverberating thing. So if you're dealing damage, thunder damage, and you're causing reverberation to a target, now it's going to become dazed when you cause thunder damage. Dazed, we've learned, gives disadvantage on wisdom saving throws, and they lose their dex bonus to armor class so that they are much easier to hit, and wisdom saving throws like Tasha's and stuff like that debilitate your character are much easier to hit. We don't have anybody that's based around reverberating right now, but it's fairly cheap, so I always pick it up. And then the Gloves of Crushing. The wearer gains a +1 bonus to unarmed attack rolls, and your unarmed attacks deal an additional 2 bludgeoning damage. Another one of those monk-specific type of items that I always end up picking up just in case we end up with some sort of monk build later on that we want to explore. So we are still not at the point here, so I'm going to pull out a couple of things, and that should balance this out.
An honor, Trousseau.
And now we can go back here and talk to Lan.
Pray with me while we wait.
The Absolute's war drums beat loud in your chest. How may I serve?
Okay, so now at this point, we did pick up the...
You have my attention.
We picked back up the chainmail +2 here, so we can instantly drop that in. And now we start looking at what he has. So the Halberd of Vengeance is really interesting. There's a feat very similar to some of what this does called Sentinel. And when you pair Sentinel with Polearm Master, you get a build that basically doesn't want anybody to get close to it. And when somebody does get close to it, they can't ever get away again. It's one of those now's you can't leave type of things. You know, do you really want to come here, but now that you're here, now you can't leave type of things. It lets you make an attack using your reaction against enemies that get within melee range of you. And this now goes hand in hand with that sort of stuff. When you make an attack roll as a reaction, you make it with advantage. And then you gain a +1 bonus to initiative rolls and advantage on perception ability checks. So you're able to go, you know, higher up in the initiative chain, and if you're walking around with it on, then you gain advantage on those perception checks when you're walking around looking for things. It's a very, very interesting halberd. It's also +2, and it does 1d4 force damage. My original design for this Paladin build was to be a Sentinel Polearm Master Paladin. And I didn't, when I originally thought up that build, I didn't even realize this thing was here. I'm very anxious just to pick this up and put it in my bank, so I have it available if I test around with it off stream and find out whether it's really good or not. It's a bunch of damage. It's a bunch of possible damage, and being able to make a reaction attack against an enemy that comes toward you, and then once you land that attack, they cannot move away from you. So that is the ultimate put you in the door, and you do the whole Hodor thing. You just hold the door against all enemies coming towards you, type of thing. And I would be real anxious to see how it plays out. I'm not going to use it right now, but I definitely want to pick it up. So the rest of these are +1s, I believe. Yes. Then we get to the slicing short sword. Another one of those where when you attack with advantage, which is really on a lot of your rogue attacks and sneak attacks and that sort of stuff, the attack inflicts bleeding. Bleeding's a damage over time attack where you take 2 slashing damage at each turn for as long as it goes on. It's removed by healing, though, and I tend to find that it's not really all that great of damage over time compared to some other DOT effects that can be given. Fistbreaker Helm is really cool. For any spellcaster and or a monk type of build, you're going to gain a +1 bonus to your spell save DC, which is always nice, and you gain a +1 bonus to initiative rolls. So again, something I want to stick in my bank, even if I don't use it now. The Enraging Heart Garb is, while raging, the wearer generates 2 turns of Wrath. We learned about Wrath previously. You gain a +1 bonus to your melee damage. It ups your Constitution by 2 up to 20. So this is a great piece of gear to have for your Barbarian that you are running up through this point. And you only at that point need to get their Constitution up to 18, and this will boost it up to 20 for them. We don't have Cullagh available to us anymore, so this isn't really something that I'm going to do, and I don't plan on hiring a Barbarian hireling to do. So I think the rest of these are all just +1 and +2s except for these. So the Sentinel Shield is great. You gain a +3 bonus to initiative rolls and advantage on perception ability checks. And when a foe hits you with a melee attack, you can possibly knock it prone. So the bonus here to initiative rolls is great, especially for characters that might not have that high dex. So having the Sentinel Shield on somebody is extraordinarily useful. And last is Gloves of the Duelist. So when holding one weapon in your hand, and this is important, nothing in your free hand, you gain a 2 bonus to melee weapon attacks. Now this is slightly confusing because all of the other dueling descriptions, whether it be the fighting style or the feat or something like that, all say as long as you are not wielding weapons in both hands. So basically meaning they work with a shield. The gloves of the duelist do not work with a shield. They do not work with dual weapons. You need to be fighting with one weapon in your main hand and a completely open offhand. That's a fairly rare fighting style to have, even in tabletop. So I get that getting the +2 bonus to hit and sacrificing either damage or armor class from that offhand to be able to hit more reliably can be beneficial. Just not something I think that I'm going to approach on any of the playthroughs. The one thing I can see is, like, for instance, with your Bard. If you drop the +2 armor class from your shield and you put these on, then you still can get high armor class with your flourish and that sort of stuff, and gain a +2 to hit with whatever that main hand weapon is. But that's one of the few scenarios that I envision where it comes in. There are obviously a couple others, but they're fairly cheap if you want to pick them up, just to experiment with on certain builds, but not really a good thing to pick up in my mind. And yes, Lord Henry, you make a good point about the enraging heart garb. It is clothing, so it is something that anybody who is just wearing clothing and can't wear armor can use. So your spellcasters could wear it and benefit from that +2 constitution. Again, and with the loss of the potent robe, which really hurts, it really hurts not being able to have it. We're gonna have to be looking at other robes, but for right now, we get a +1 bonus to our spell save DC with the Protecting Sparks wall right now. So I think we're probably at the best thing that we can kind of set up to do right now. But we'll kind of have to play with that as we go. I think, yeah, this is just a dagger +2. So I think that's it. So we'll equal this out. Forgot it's got to transfer gold from other characters to me, and we can finish the barter.
Let's get on with it.
And now I was going to look and see what... Yeah, Starian's wearing the Wanty. That's what I thought. So now we can finish getting rid of the rest of this stuff here. And we're going to send a lot of this stuff to our camp off stream. I don't want to waste time doing it.
Excellent choice.
Here, we're going to keep that clothing for now.
Can't afford to stay idle.
We're going to keep that cape for now. Might as well put it on. And I think that's it. So out of all of that, out of all the purchasing of items that we did there, we only spent 600 gold through all of it. And that's kind of one of those examples of being able to manage your bartering and your attitudes and that sort of stuff can really help save you a lot of money. Okay, so now what we're going to do here is we're going to head back to the last light. Wait for everything to die again. And we are going to take a long rest. We are desperately in need of it. Let me see if there are any conversations.
We must press forward. Let's deal with Ketheric, then find Voss in Baldur's Gate.
Okay, Jaheira is here in our camp.
I suppose this place is no worse for wear than my last lodgings. Though I cannot say the same for myself, I fear. The battle, the escape after. I might need to lick my wounds a while before I can be of use to you. I need a little time. But I will gladly join you at Journey's End. So long as it leads to the grave of General Ketheric Thorm. The time for words will come when we lay my Harpers to their final rest. I owe them that. But first, I owe them justice. Moonrise must fall. You know your task. Ketheric Thorm clawed his way free of death. Find out how, so we can send him back.
Okay, so she is not going to join your party yet. You have to complete other things here before she will agree to join your group.
I-F. Or is it an E? Is it even a letter? What damn language is this? What are you doing? Wait, I'm sorry. You caught me by surprise, that's all. I've been tracing the scars on my back with my fingers, trying to read them by touch. But I can't. They may as well be written in Rashimi. This isn't your problem, you know. Fine.
You can't read the text carved into his flesh, but you recognize the script. Any warlock would. It's infernal, the language of the hells.
And? What does it say? What in the hells? What did he do to me? No, let's keep this between ourselves. At least until we know what it means. 2 centuries carrying this, and I can finally see it. No. I could have missed it, of course, but I doubt it. Cazador was only figuratively hellish. There were never any devils hanging about the crypt. Whatever he's left carved in my flesh, it's a mystery to me. Thank you, by the way. This is... well, it's something. Will we? How sweet.
Okay, so we'll talk to him again.
What can I do for you, my friend? Cazador sired 7 spawn. Me and my 6 brothers and sisters. He always insisted we were a family, even when he was carving scars into our flesh. I was one of his first. Some of the others came years later. He was a monster to us all, but did take special pleasure in my pain. He said my screams sounded sweetest. And now that I'm gone, I don't know. I pity the other 6.
Okay, so let's go talk to Shadowheart.
You know, I've been catching myself smiling more lately. I think that's your fault. Difficult to say. A fellow servant of the Night Singer would surely be an ally to me under most circumstances. But something doesn't add up. I'll need to see where his allegiances truly lie. Very serious of you. But go ahead. I won't pretend that I don't know what you mean. Ever since we entered the Shadow Curse, I felt like something's calling to me. Some purpose that I need to find. Give me some time. If I can figure out whatever it is that I need to do, well, then there should be more time for us.
He does not know how wrong she is, but we will get to that later.
What's on your mind?
Hey, nothing new from Gale. And now, because Will was not with us during the encounter with Mizora,
your mind mingles with Will's, and he learns of Mizora's mission to Moonrise.
The more bullshit she pours, the more of it I'm forced to swallow. Mizora set me on fiends inside and outside the Hells. She's never ordered a rescue. Gods. She makes a mockery of everything the Blade stands for. Such an asshole. Thank you for sticking your neck out for me. I mean it, but I'm not going to celebrate till I'm actually free. Can already feel her scheming. She won't let me go without a fuss. Trust me on this. Not a one. All that matters is that we free it. Fail, and I'm made a mindless blob clawing at demons on the front lines of the Blood War. And it means everything to me. I always knew what my future held, and I know I chose right.
Okay, we are going to bring Will back into our party, but a bit later. We can go through 95% of everything, well, 90% of everything inside the Shadowlands and not need Will with us, but we will bring him back for a specific part.
You wish to speak? Good. This is what we've been lacking. Now there's a chance we can find Thaniel and bring him home. What comes next will prove dangerous. Meet me by the shore outside Last Light. We can do our work there without imperiling others.
Okay, and we are actually going to do this. This is a really, really fun encounter. We will first check and make sure nothing else. Okay, so I think we're okay, so we're going to head to bed here. Now I need a fish.
So, you found the seat of the Absolute's power. And what a power it is. I don't know how much longer I can resist it. It just doesn't stop. We are being bombarded by waves of telepathic energy. Wave after wave with hardly a breath between them. I almost dare not rest. Each wave a set of orders to the infected. The order for your transformation has been given many times already. Yes, but the orders are oddly erratic, as if the Absolute cannot make up its mind. I don't fully understand. In any case, the Absolute knows you carry me with you now. It wants to retrieve me. I am the only one who can resist the Absolute's influence. Hence its fear of me, its desperation. Unfortunately, that also means it is dedicating more and more resources to my retrieval. The task ahead is monumental, but we're all that stands between victory for the Absolute and freedom for all. This is not just about you and I anymore. It has become far bigger than us. You must infiltrate Moonrise Towers, discover the secrets of the Absolute, and put an end to it. So we can finally be free. Now I must rest. And you must carry on. Do not let my efforts be in vain.
Okay, we are going to go meet Halsin. And see, here's what I mean. Now all of the bodies are gone. There's going to be a couple here and there strewn around the place, but that's it. So you can't loot any more from them if you take a long rest. So it's probably a good idea if you can to try and make it down to Moonrise like that, so you can make sure you have the opportunity to sell it all off. Now, Halsin is up here, and I'm not going to lie, this would be easier if I had Will with me. Good call. Thank you, Lord Henry. And yeah, I did see it, David. I'll come back and look at it here in a second. So this area is going to get really busy. And we are going to have to manage how well this goes. So we need to make sure that everybody's got the highest armor classes they can, and it looks like we do. We're 19 up to 21. We've got our AoE stuff that's available to us. We do have the Charge-Bound Warhammer, which is our best single-handed weapon here. So, Brand the Weak, I don't think we're going to... Well, we won't need Shield either. So, we are going to swap out for the Incandescent Staff. I want to have another charge of Fireball here for Gale.
No rest for the wicked, I see.
And the Nair Misser here. Okay. And make sure that we don't have any of our... Yeah, we don't need the Smuggler's Ring. We need to get our high damage items on. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have any rings that would do anything different. So the last thing that we probably want to do here is have Shadowheart on her prepared spells. Well, let me see where we're at. Yes. Let me swap out her prepared spells here. I want to keep Sanctuary. We'll swap out Cure Wounds or Create and Destroy Water. And I think that gets us where we need to be. Let's see if there's any... Yes, that's it. Okay. So, this is going to come down to a couple of things. It's going to come down to good placement of persistent AoE spells. It's going to come down to good management of your action economy. And it's going to come down to maintenance of your concentration spells when you have them up. Gale,
I'm sure.
This would be an absolutely perfect spot for Odalukes. But Gale is going to be key to this. And this is why I said this would be a lot easier if it was Will. Because we're going to have to maintain his concentration here. And because his AoE spells, like I say, are going to be a big deal here. And one more thing that I need to check is, honestly, because I can't remember how I built some of my characters. Okay, so we have dark vision. So, that's good.
I've got a long road ahead.
Okay. So let's go talk to Halson. We're going to split our group here. This isn't technically necessary to do this much work.
My faith protects me.
But Shadowheart is going to stay right down here where she is.
Lost
Gale is going to be up here.
Let's explore.
Astarion is also going to be up here.
Yes, let's.
And my Paladin is going to be a little bit of a free roamer here as we go through this.
All's well that ends not as bad as it could have.
You're here. Good. Now we can begin. Thaniel is trapped in the Shadowfell, but thanks to your efforts, I know where to look. Now I must go there, alone. No. This opportunity has been 100 years in the making. It has to be me. And only me. But I didn't bring you here to witness an old druid's grandstanding. You have a part to play in this, and I trust you will play it well. With the Oakfather's blessing, I can infiltrate the Shadowfell, but doing so will sap my strength. I'll need your help if I'm to return. I need you to stay here, keep the portal open until I return, and defend it at all costs. Good. Now it's important that only I pass through the portal once it opens. The magic is fragile. Any mistake, and our one chance will be lost forever. It took me years of study, of seeking the Oakfather's favor, to find a way to part the veil. Pray that this works. Oakfather, hear me. Aid me. Force open the jaws of darkness. Make passage for your vessel of light. It's ready. I'll return with Thaniel as soon as possible. Stay close to the portal. Buy me what time you can.
Okay, so now it's about to get real. Yeah, you can see three main things. The first being, obviously, we just got ambushed by a lot of people. And there are some fairly serious enemies in here. The shadows are what they are. We've seen them before. They are resistant to all of our martial type weapons. They are vulnerable to radiant damage. They are resistant to most of the elemental types of damage. They're just hard to kill. However, there's also a wraith back here. So the wraith has all of the same things, except they also have extinguishing malice. So you'll see kind of how that plays as he moves forward towards us. The Shadow Mastiffs you guys haven't seen yet, I don't believe. Trying to find one. Where are they? Back down here? Oh, they might be up here. Yes. So, really big dogs. They can knock you prone. And then when you're prone, obviously, all the attacks against you have advantage. All of these have Shadow Veil, so they're resistant to that bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage because they're lightly or heavily obscured. That's something to keep in mind, is that your shadows have... actually, these don't. Okay. And then you have regular shadow cursed people, like we've seen before. These are obviously really low hit points, not really a big deal on some of them. The Harper's obviously a little more. They are all trying to kill the portal. The portal has hit points. So you will need to prioritize your ranged attackers because they will just sit in the back and launch shots against it. And all of them are going to have high enough level that they've got 2 shots most of the time. So like the Harper's level 6, so they've got extra attack. So they're going to be shooting twice every turn. So all stuff to keep in mind and prioritize certain types of enemies. Okay. Now, the reason we have placed people where they are is because everyone's going to try and come up here and try and cause damage to this portal. You get people that are able, you can see they can come up that side, so they don't necessarily have to come right up the front. They can come over here, up that pathway to get to it, but, and that pathway as well, but they can't, they all have to come right through here. So we're going to bottleneck this place, and we are going to just beat down everything that we can, and we have to keep this portal up for 5 turns, and or if we kill everything first, which is normally how this plays out. Okay, so we're going to start getting off attacks here. Now it looks like Astarion is outside of the range here. The Wraith is going to be the first one to attack. And I didn't move Shadowheart up enough. I needed her to be up here on the top level. But it doesn't matter. I can keep both of them outside of it. So we're going to hide here. Actually, no, we won't. We'll just cast Hunter's Mark first to get it up and running. We're going to cast it on the Wraith. Okay, so we got Luck of Far Realms here. I'm actually going to use it. I'm going to use my ranged Dread Ambusher here. And I missed an 85%er. And we'll wait. Okay, and that's what I mean by it puts out light. You see what it did with Lathander's light? It got rid of it. So now she's not going to be blinding targets anymore, which is bad. So the Wraith is a priority for you to be able to deal with. So he's going to invoke an attack of opportunity here. But I think I probably want to take it. Yeah, I think I probably want to take it so I can move back. Okay, good. Now I'm just going to move out a little bit more and see if I can get away from advantage here. Now, Scorching Ray from him, if I upcast it to 3, is going to get me 4 projectiles here. Okay. So now all 3 shadows are going to get to go. Not worried about strength drain. Okay. So we need to... Okay, so I think I know what I'm going to do here. Let's move Shadowheart up here, just for a second. We're going to hold the rest of her turn.
What now?
We're going to... Actually, we might be able to do it with her, with him standing there. And we can hit all of them without hitting my Paladin. Okay. So we're going to get Spiritual Weapon out. Okay, and now we can move Shadowheart back down here. He's not provoking an attack of opportunity off of that. How about we not chance it?
Dull moment.
Why can't I reach that? Oh, because of strength drain. Okay. So I wasn't worried about it, but he's dropped my strength by a lot, so it's heavily encumbered me, so I can't move. I'm not worried about the actual strength thing because that doesn't affect any of my to hit or anything like that, but it has made it so I can't move with what I'm carrying. So strength drain, I believe, is remove curse. I don't think I have that prepped.
Need to stay focused.
I do have remove curse prepped. Okay. So we will use that next turn on me.
No choice but to keep
But for
going.
now, I'm going to be reliant upon a ranged attack, or I guess Eldritch Blast for this. It's still disadvantage because I'm heavily encumbered, but I think it's probably my best bet here. I don't want to brand the weak on him. So let's just see if we can get a hit here. Nope, we can't. Okay, so with my bonus action here, Yeah, we'll do it. I probably should have done that beforehand. That was a mistake on my part. Okay, so we have Harper back here. These two are ranged. These are all melee based and they're 1 hit point apiece. I'm not too worried about them. So let's start giving these two disadvantage on their attacks. Okay, and now you can see how things start to get interesting, right? Reinforcements are going to keep coming in here. Now we absolutely have to kill this Wraith. He has got to die here. So... Okay, when you absolutely have to hit. Okay, so now we're going to be getting ready for... So he's threatened, this Harper is not. So we need to be focusing him. So we won't be able to make another offhand attack here, but we'll go after him next turn. Okay, now that the Wraith is dead, all of our turns are set up right next to each other. So Shadowheart is going to have to spend her action here on Remove Curse.
We need everyone alive.
Okay. So that's perfectly fine for her to do. So I can move her back a little bit, and now my Paladin, I'm going to put him up here on top, just for now. And then Gale. Trying to make sure of how this thing is going to sit here. This will work. Okay. Now, much is going to depend upon Gale maintaining his concentration here. We have another backup for this, which we're going to use here in a little bit, but for now that's going to end Gale's turn.
Focus.
Shadowheart is going to, for now, cast Shield of Faith on Gale, just to give him an additional bonus.
One can't always be a gentleman.
To that armor class. to help him hopefully avoid ranged attacks now. We're going to change Shadowheart out to something else here in a little bit. But at least that'll get him through this turn. And that will end her turn, and then my Paladin here can initiate ranged attacks or Eldritch Blasts. And we need to focus. We're not focusing on any of them. We want to take out these Harpers back here. Let's make sure if our passive, it's on. I don't necessarily want that on for this attack, though. He's going to die next turn. I don't need Luck of the Far Realms on that. Okay, and actually I should have cast Hex before that. But we will wait now. Okay, my spiritual weapon. Let's go after the Harper again. Okay. And you can see more reinforcements coming in. And now here is where we are going to start getting a little insidious with this. So the first thing that we definitely need to do is get rid of these shadow creepers up here. And that shouldn't be a big issue for us. Okay. And now Gale is still fine with this. Now remember, for them to get up here, they're going to have to go through the wall of fire. Doesn't matter where they're sitting, how far down here they're sitting, they're going to have to go through the wall of fire to get to me. So again, maintaining Gale's concentration is good, but we can start dropping the hurt on some people out here. Okay. So now for Shadowheart. Shadowheart has a couple of options for what she wants to do here, but by far the best thing that she can do is drop Spirit Guardians. The enemies are melee based, but some of them have some decent amount of hit points, and they're going to be coming towards me pretty hard. Okay, so she will be the last line of defense for anybody that makes it up here onto this platform. Right? That removes Gale's Shield of Faith, but that got him through that turn anyway. Nobody attacked him, which was good, but it got him through that turn anyway. So I want to keep him available. He still has enough spell slots left. to be able to cast Fireball 2 more times. But once we get to that point, if he's still there, I will just have Shadowheart cast Sanctuary on Gale. So that way he's not going to get attacked, and his concentration will never be broken. So now for me here, another key thing is this choke point up here. You can see kind of everybody kind of spawns in this area. Trying to get the perfect spot to get this in here. Okay, and now I'm just going to drop out some ranged attacks on whoever's here as we start to go. But I'm going to... I don't think I'm going to drop out Hex. I think I'm going to save that bonus action for now. So... we will just move up to this corner and get ready to soak up attacks here.
I'm ready.
Okay, we're going to have to take out the Harper back there. Hoping it happens right here, but it might not. Outstanding. Okay, so I can move. Actually, I'm gonna hold this. I'm gonna hold the spiritual weapon out here. Or what might come down this way and might try and skirt around this way. Firewall is so good. It's just so good. Okay, so now we have a second set of reinforcements of the shadows, but moving through both Spirit Guardians and Wall of Fire, they just take so much damage. And then because of Spirit Guardians, they also get radiating orb, which means they've got a -2 to hit to start off with. So yeah, it's just a bad day for them. So for here, I'm actually not too worried about the Wraith or the Shadow Mastiff. Where's this Shadow at? Oh, he's back here. I'm not even too worried about that. I'll take them both out here in a second. So let's start dealing with some of these back here. Because the warriors start going up in strength. These are actually Yankees back here. We certainly don't want them to get anywhere near us. Okay, thank you for the one. I appreciate that. So Gale is going to finish them off. Okay, Shadowheart is just going to move forward a little bit. Okay, and that takes that Wraith out, or that Shadow out. Now this one here, what's Sacred Flame, a 55% chance to hit? I mean, might as well. It's double radiant damage if it does hit. Okay, nice.
Blood comes
And now me. We'll just put an end to this. Now we just gotta wait for the timer to run out.
Shall we cut and run?
Nothing important is ever easy.
It's done. I have him. But something's wrong. Dreadfully wrong. No. It can't be. Yes. I'll bring him back to camp. He'll be safest with us. I need to examine him. I need to understand what's wrong. It's almost like something's missing from him. Come see us when you can.
Let's get going.
Okay. So, I love defensive fights. I really do. Even, it's one of the things from the military. You know, you let the enemy come to you in a fortified position, and you're going to have a huge advantage. And I love setting up defensive fights and playing to the best of the abilities. And this is a great encounter. I loved every second of this the first time I played it. So was really a fun thing to play, and I knew it'd be an enjoyable way to end the stream today. So, and thanks guys, I appreciate it. So that brings us to a great stopping point. We are going to pick up at that point next week. We're actually going to continue on with this quest line and complete as much of it as we possibly can. And we're going to do that because a lot of the things here on the east side still pertain to that. There's a particular location out here where you meet and continue this quest line, and we need to continue exploring the rest of this anyway. So we're going to finish off as much of that quest line as we possibly can, while we continue to sort out the rest of the quests that are around here. So we'll spend most of next week going through the rest on the east side of the river, and hopefully clean out most of that before we then jump over to the city itself. So again, thank you everybody for being here today. Without your support, none of this would be possible. This is Commander Jerval saying, until next time, fare thee well.